Hello. In this video, I am going to share information on rounding function in MS Excel. Our math and trigonometric function in Excel also provides rounding functions. Before we move on to the lecturing session of rounding functions, I would like to say that this video would be a lengthy one, but the topic of rounding function, which is very important, so please be patient to watch this video first and try out each and every examples that we illustrated here. Okay, so let's begin. Here you can see that a list of rounding functions in MS Excel. The main objective of rounding function is rounding a number away from 0. That is either rounding up or rounding down. And here we will discuss a few functions of rounding functions like even, odd, ceil, floor, mround, round, roundup, round down and trunk. Since there will be a most commonly used rounding functions, these are the common functions that we will use frequently or we will commonly use. Okay, let's look at on even function first. The main objective of rounding function is rounding a number, right, away from 0 or towards 0, that is rounding up or rounding down. A number can be a positive number or a negative number. So depending on that number, we will round that number, right, either away from 0 or towards 0. So throughout this video, it will be a rounding function. That means we will round a number according to the number of digit or the significance value that we passed on. So let's look at even function first. So even function rounds a number away from 0, that is rounds a positive number up and a negative number down to the next even number. Okay, so here I have illustrated some example also. Look at the first one. I put first example as equals even of minus 1.5. Here the number is 1.5 and it is a negative number. So it will round it down negatively to the next even number. So the number is 1.5. So what is the next negatively down even number? Which is negative 2, right? So it resulted negative 2. Next is equals of 1.5. The number is same 1.5, but the sign is different. In the first example it was negative and in the second example it is positive. Since the number is a positive number, it will round it up positively to the next even number. So it is positive 2. Next is equals even of 2.75. Simply if we round the number 2.75, it will be 3, right? But here we have used a function called even. So it will round it to an even number. Since it is 2.75 and a positive, it will round it up to positive next even number. So it is positive 4. The last one is equals even of minus 2.75. Similar like the previous one, but it is a negative number, so it will round it negatively down towards the next even number. Thus it resulted minus 4 as output. Next is odd function, which is similar like even function, but instead of taking the next even number, it will take adjacent odd number, either positively up or negatively down. And here we have the example, odd of minus 1.5. Since the number is 1.5 and it is a negative number, it will take or it will consider negatively down adjacent odd number. So it resulted as negative 3. The next is equals odd of negative 0.5. So which is the next adjacent odd number? 1, right? And it is a negative number, so it will be negative 1. Let's see the next third example, which is odd of 0. We know that 0 has no positive, no negative. It is a neutral number. So it will take a rounded up positive to the next odd number. So it take 1 as its output. The last one is equals odd of 1.5. Since the number is positive and the number is 1.5, it will take the next rounded up odd number. So it is 3, right? After 1, the next odd number is 3, right? So it resulted 3 as its output. Next, let's learn on the 3 functions which have some common behavior: ceil, floor and mround, where these 3 functions will do a multiple rounding up or rounding down. But the difference is, first let's look on ceil and floor. What is the difference? The difference is ceil will always rounding up. Remember, ceil will always rounding up from 0, and floor which will always rounded down towards 0. Now let's see with examples. So in our first example, which is equals ceil of, I am taking this table values for performing these functions. Okay, so let us consider these values. So here also I took the first example as 45.25. So in this value we are going to perform ceiling function. So ceiling function, what is the purpose of ceiling function? It will do a rounding up from 0. Okay. And as you can see that in formula bar, ceiling function have 2 arguments. First one is number and the second one is significance. This value, the second value, significance, refers to the multiple. Okay. So here in our example, we passed the number as 45.25 and the significant value as 7. So it will consider the multiple of 7 of this number, and thus ceiling performs a rounding up function. It will consider only the number which is greater than 45.25 and also which should be a multiple of 7 also. Okay. So what is the next higher number, which is 46, but it is not a multiple of 7. And the next one is 47, which is also not a multiple of 7. Next one is 48, which is higher than this number but which is not a multiple of 7. And the next one is 49, which is a multiple of 7 and higher than 45.25. So the ceiling function will find out the multiple of the second argument and which will consider only the larger number than the past number. Okay, in this ceiling function. So thus the ceiling function performed on 45.25. So the number, the multiple value of 45.25, the nearest multiple value of 45.25 of the number 7 is 49. So it resulted 49 as its output. What is about the next one? So it took the number, a negative number, minus 45.25. Okay. So ceiling function will always perform a rounding up from 0, right? And which will also consider the significance value, which will always consider the multiple of the significant value. So here also, as you can see that minus 45.25 was the number which we passed in the ceiling function, right? So here the value is minus 45.25 and the significance value was 7. So the number which is greater than minus 45 is minus 44, right? I hope you all know that negative numbers will be greater than the previous number even if the number which is lesser than the negative number, right? So here we have minus 45. So minus 44 is greater than minus 45, and minus 43 is greater than minus 44, like that. So I hope you all know about this negative sign of numbers. Okay. So let's come to the function ceiling here. So ceiling of O13, which is 45, minus 45.25, and which will consider only the multiple of 7, as I said just before. Okay. So minus 44, which performs a rounding up, right? Since ceil function will always performing a rounding up. So which will consider negative 44, which is not a multiple of 7. Then what about minus 43, which is also not a multiple of 7, but which is higher than minus 45. What about minus 42? Minus 42 is greater than minus 45, right? And it is also a multiple of 7. So it resulted minus 42 as output. So ceil function will always rounding up from 0, even if it is positive or negative. Okay. The next one is floor. So floor function rounded down towards 0. It's just opposite to ceil. Okay. But it also has two arguments. First one is number and significant as the second argument, like the ceil function. But floor function will always rounded down towards 0. Okay. So let's see in our example. So O8, that is the value is 45.25. So since the function we used is floor, it will rounded down and also will consider the multiple value of 7 only. So here in this example I am passing 7 as significance value for easier comparison, and for easier comparison. Okay, you can pass any value as significant here. Okay. We performed a floor, a rounding down towards 0 of this number. So our floor function performed on O8 with the significant value of 7. So 45.25, which is not a multiple of 7. Since the function we used is floor, it will round it down. So it will consider the 44 as the next number. So whether the number 44 is a multiple of 7, it will check. It's not, right? So it will consider the next less number, which is 43. Is 43 less than 45.25? Yes. And the function floor performs a rounding down. It will consider 43, but which is not a multiple of 7. So it will omit 43. Now the next one is the number 42, which is less than 45.25, and floor function will perform on that number also, since 42 is less than 45. Okay, and which is also a multiple of 7. So it resulted 42 as its output. So listen, ceil will consider only the number which is greater than the past argument, and floor will consider only the number which is less than the past number, and also both will consider the multiple of the second argument. Okay, so what about the next one? So which is we perform floor function on negative 45.25. Since it considers the lesser number, it will consider negative 46. Okay, 47, 45, negative 45 is not a multiple of 7, right? So it will check for the next number, which is minus 46. So 46 is a multiple of 7? No. Next is 47. 47, whether the 47 minus 47 is a multiple of 7? No. What about 48, which is also not a multiple of 7? It will omit that also. What about 49? 49 minus 49 is a multiple of 7 also, and also which is less than minus 45 also. So it will resulted as minus 49. Okay. So this is the comparison between seal and floor. So once again I am telling that seal performs rounding up. Okay, it will perform rounding up, first point. Second point is it will consider only the number which is greater than the argument value. Okay, and also it will consider the value which is a multiple of the second argument. Okay. Next, what about floor function? Floor function performs a rounding down towards 0. That is the first point. Second point is which will consider only the number which is less than the past number. Okay. And it will also consider the multiple of the significant value or the second argument. I hope you are clear with these two functions. Now let's move on. M-round function. What is an M-round function? Which round to the nearest multiple. Okay, let's see with example. So first one is 45.25 and I am passing 7 as multiple. So it will round to the next or the nearest multiple of 7 from 45.25, which is 42. What about 40.15, which is also 42. So it will also result at 42 as result. Okay. What about the next one? The 32.75 as the number which I passed, and the significance value is 7. So which is the nearest multiple of 32.75? Which is not 33, not 34, which is 35. So it will result 35. What about the next one, which is which we passed the number as negative 45.25. So it will consider the nearest multiple of minus 45.25, which is minus 42. Okay. A special note is also here on these three functions, seal, floor and M-round. Please listen carefully. If a number is already an exact multiple of significance, then no rounding is needed. Okay. If we passed 42 here and I am doing a seal of 42,7. We know that 42 is a multiple of 7. So the seal function will not round that number, since the past number is already a multiple of significance value. So that is what I said just before. If a number is already an exact multiple of significance value, then no rounding is needed. Second point is, rounding occurs when the remainder from the dividing number by multiple is greater than or equal to half the value of the multiple. And the number and the multiple must have the same sign. I don't know you have noticed here that I passed negative as my significance value. Since I passed a negative number, I also should pass significance value as also same sign. So number and multiple must have the same sign. Okay, it's only applicable for M-round function. The number, if the number is positive, the significance value should be positive. If the number is negative, the significance value should be negative. Okay. Now let's see on the next most important functions like round, round up and round down. To round normally, we will use round function. This is what we usually do manually or by ourselves. To round up to the nearest specified place, we can use round up function. To round down to the nearest specified place, we can use round down function. Let's see some behavior of round down and round up. Here is the behavior. If the number digit, num digit means for round function also we have two arguments. First is the number, second is num digit. Okay, the num digit refers to the number of digits that you have to round it. So according to that second argument, the round up and round down function have some behaviors. So what are they? That is what I explained here. If the num digit, that is the second argument along with round up or round down, is greater than 0, it will round it up or down to the nearest 0.1, 0.01, 0.001, etc. That is rounded up or down to 1 decimal places, 2 decimal places, etc. If the second argument which we passed along with round up and round function is less than 0, then round up or round down to the nearest 10, 100, 1000, etc. That is rounded up or down to the nearest 10, 100, 1000, etc. If the number digit is equal to 1, it will round it up or down to the nearest 1. Now let's see with example. So as I just said before that round function is a normal rounding function which we usually do by ourselves. Consider you got 42.75 as BIS mark for an internal exam. So you will obviously ask me that, ma'am, whether you put our mark as 42.75 or 43, right? So you are rounding yourself on that number, that is 42.75 as 43. So this is what happened in this function, round function, the normal rounding function. So here also I passed 32.75. So what will be the rounding function of 32.75? Which is 33, right? Sorry. I passed 0 as the second argument here. So 0 denotes that I don't need the decimal part. I need only the integer part. So if we passed 1 as second argument, it tells that I need a single decimal point along with my integer part. If I passed 2 as the second argument, it means that I need 2 decimal points along with the integer part. So here I passed 0 as the second argument. So it will omit the decimal part. It will consider only the integer part and also perform the round function. So 32.75 will be rounded to 33. What about the next one? Next value is 32.75, the same value, but the second argument is 1. So 1 means that I need 1 decimal point along with my integer part. So it will consider 32.7 only, but also performing the round function, right? So what will be the output? Which will be 32.8. Why it comes 8? Because the second decimal part is 5 or greater than 5. So if the decimal part is greater than 5 or equal to 5, it will round it up to the next to the nearest place, right? So it will be 32.8. Suppose the number was 32.74, then the round function will be round of 32.74 comma 1. What will be the output? 32.7, right? Because 32.74 where 4 is less than 5, right? So this was a general rule. If the if the decimal part is greater than 5 or equal to 5, we can round it up, else remain the same, right? So this is what happened here also. So since the number was 32.75 and here 5 is equal to 5 or greater than 5, so a rule is there to round it up the previous number. So it comes 32.8. What about the next one? So here I passed a negative number as first argument and negative as number of digit. So consider the second behavior here. See, if num digit is less than 0, in our example also the num digit was less than 0, right? -1. So if it is less than 0, what should be the result? It should be rounded up or rounded down to the nearest 10, 100 or 1000 or so on. Since our number is having only ones, tens places, it will take only the 10, right? Suppose it was 456.25, it will consider 100. Suppose it was 45678, okay, then it will consider 1000. So since in our example it was only 45, that means tens place only there, right? So it will consider the nearest tens place of 45, which is 50, right? So it resulted 50 as this value. Let's see with more example. Minus 456.75. Sorry, just a minute. Consider this value. Okay, so here also I am performing a round function equals round of this value comma -1. So see, it also took a hundredths value, so it is -460. If I passed -2 here, what will be the output? It considered 100 as value. Okay, so if I passed 456.775, okay, and I am doing the same round function in these also from -1. So -1 will take tens place. So what will be the output? -4570. See, it is -4.70. If I passed -2, then it will take hundreds. So it will add this value plus 100. So what is the answer? 4600. See, next, if I passed -3 here, it will consider 1000, right? So it will add 1000. 4567 plus 1000, which is the result will be 5000. So here it is. So according to the num digit, the rounding function performs. Okay, if the num digit is greater than 0, it will simply add as we manually did. Okay, but if the num digit is less than 0, it will consider this value, whether is it positive -1 or -2 or -3. So according to if it is -1, it will find out nearest 10. If it is -2, it will find out nearest hundreds. If it is -3, it will find out nearest 1000 place. Okay, so the nearest 10 place of this number was 4570. The nearest 100 place was 4600. Nearest 1000 place was 5000. So this is what happened in here. Okay, now let's see round up function. Round up function also performs a rounding up. It will always rounding up. Okay, it will always consider the number which is greater than the past number. So here the past number was 32.75. Since it was round up, it always consider from 33, 34, 35 like that. And we will consider the number of digit or the second argument also. So which is 0. So 0 means I don't need the decimal part, I just need the integer part. So rounding up 32.75 with no decimal value, which is 33. So here is the result. What about the next one, which is 32.75 along with 1 as decimal part? So it also do the rounding up function. So round up 32.75 with 1 decimal part. So it is 32.8. Since the digit was greater than 0, right? I passed here 1, a positive 1, which is greater than 0. So it will perform 0.1. It will add 0.1, 0.01, 0.001, so on. So it performed 32.8. What about the next one? Here I passed negative as the number and negative as the num digit also. So it will consider the second behavior. Okay, since our number is having only 45, that means 40 plus 5, right? So tens place. So it will add 10 along with a negative 1 num digit. So the result will be minus 50. What about this? Here also we are passing the negative number with no decimal part. So what will be the output? It will be the just rounding up of 45, which is 46. Okay. The next one is round down. Round down function will always perform a round down, which will consider only the number which is less than the past number. So here we past number was 32.75. So which is the number which is less than 32.75? Which is 32 or 31 or 30, like that, right? So then it will consider the decimal, the num digit value, which is 0. So it tells that I don't need the decimal part. So it will perform a round down on 32.75, which is 32. So this one is same as just before. Instead of passing 0, I passed 1. So it tells that I need a rounding down function. I need to perform a rounding down function on this number with 1 decimal part. So it kept 1 decimal part here and also performed a round down function. So it is 32.7. So you can compare here also. While we performing round or round up function, our answer was the Excel answer, right? But if we perform round down function, the answer is different. So it considered only the down, it rounding down of this number. Okay, so the next one is round down of negative number along with negative num digit. So by considering the second behavior, it will round down to the nearest 10. So 45, what is the nearest down of 45? Which is 40, right? Why it does not take 50? Because we are going to perform round down. If we are performing round up, it will take 50. But instead of round up, we are performing round down. So it will only consider that round down nearest 10. So it is 40. So it performed, or it given the output as minus 40. Okay. So last one is round down of negative 45.25 along with 0. So it tells that I don't need the decimal part, I just need the integer part along with the performing a round down. So it resulted 45 as result. Okay. I hope you got an idea on round, round up and round down and their behavior also. Okay. If you have any doubt, we can have a live session on upcoming days also. Okay. We will discuss it on our live session. So the last rounding function that we are going to discuss is trunc. So trunc also has two arguments. First one is the number and the next one is the number of digits to be truncated. Okay, trunc function is used to truncate or to omit the decimal places or to reduce the decimal places. So in our example, trunc of 32.75 comma 1. So it will reduce the number of decimal places. So by simply it will here I passed odd 10 with 0. So it tells that I don't need the decimal part. So it truncated with no decimal part and resulted as 32. Suppose if I passed as 1 here. Okay. So it will consider, it will reduce the second, it will reduce the size of the decimal part to 1. So it resulted 32.1. Consider this. This was the number 58.4567894567989. Okay. So I am going to trunc this number. So I am going to truncate this number with a decent decimal part which is 2. So it truncated the number 58.567989 to 58.45. So truncate function is used to truncate the decimal part or to reduce the number of decimal part. Okay, to 0 or 1 or 2 or as per our requirement. So this comes the end of rounding functions. I hope you all got a clear idea on even function, odd function, ceil, floor, m round, round, round up, round down and trunc. Here also you will see so many other functions like floor.precise, floor.math, int, ceiling.precise, iso.ceiling, ceiling.math. Try to find out what is the purpose of these functions also as an activity that I am giving to you. So just Google it and find out the purpose or the objective of these functions also. And learn the most commonly using round functions that I illustrated in this video also. Thank you for watching.